Hello, everybody, and welcome to Saturn Slam Review. Sorry for missing last week. NXT actually was a fairly newsworthy show last week, so it's a little unfortunate that we never got around to it. Dynamite from last week was less noteworthy. Pretty bad show overall, but it won the ratings, I think 935 to 750, thereabouts. But
yeah.
The streak is over, ladies and gentlemen. The mighty has fallen. For the first time since going head-to-head, NXT has taken the win this week. 916 overnight viewers to 893,000, which I think is up overall for both shows' combined audience for last
Sounds
week.
about right.
But yes, hardly a commanding victory, but a victory nonetheless.
And this is on the heels of their pay-per-view.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the reasons AEW won last week, despite it not being a great show, is because it was the post-pay-per-view edition. But as you will see when we discuss NXT in a moment here, WWE really wanted to win this week.
Yes.
And they held nothing back. As a consequence, this is maybe, certainly since they went to 2 hours, this is the greatest NXT show they've ever done. But maybe in the entire compendium of NXT, this is at least a top 5 show that they've ever done.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And if they had actually, given us a non-fucked up finish in one of the matches here, I think it would have been even better.
Could have put the capstone on it.
But
yeah.
Hey, it was.
So, it was vainglorious. It was magnanimous. None of these words mean anything close to what I want them to mean, but just delivers a general impression of what I was feeling on that night and tonight when I was thinking about what I felt on that night.
And to its credit, AEW Dynamite was also a fantastic show. So this was a good week to be a wrestling fan. And if you have not checked out one show or either of the shows, then what the fuck are you doing with your life, dude? Do you even like wrestling?
You and Crab?
All right.
Man.
So NXT opened with a big surprise. Triple H, I guess, I don't watch Raw, put out an open challenge to anyone from either Raw or SmackDown to show up to NXT and get their asses kicked. And we open with Regal and some security standing in front of a door. And who walks through that door but Becky Lynch in Full Sail collectively creams its jeans.
She's back.
They exchange pleasantries, and she comes out and cuts a promo about how it's been a long time since she last wrestled in NXT. Sat in the corner defeated by one Sasha Banks, I believe. And how it's been so long since she fought here, but they won't have to wait much longer to see it happen again. She calls out Shayna Baszler. However, Shayna Baszler is not the person to answer this challenge here, and out walks
Shayna Baszler, you substitute.
And out walked Shayna Baszler's blood rival, Rhea Ripley.
You can't beat her if I beat her first.
So out she walked, and she said, "So you're the man, huh? Let's see if you have a set of balls." And the referee came down. The match was made official, and they wrestled a damn fine match. It's one of those matches that isn't like necessarily a dream match. To me, a dream match is a match you never thought you'd see. Like, I think most people thought eventually you would see this match, but it came a little sooner and was, I guess, unexpected. It was an unexpected match.
Right.
And as a consequence, we were treated to something very different from what we've seen either woman wrestle in quite some time. Rhea Ripley's been doing mostly squashes, and then she had the one Haas match with Bianca Belair. This was different. It wasn't quite a David versus Goliath thing, but it was more of a crafty veteran versus young up and comer sort of dealio here. And Becky Lynch has never. I mean, I guess she's wrestled Nia Jax, but this is
a different league.
This is a different
Please.
level of wrestling the powerhouse athlete here. And they have themselves a fine
Rhea Ripley
match.
has also been in at least one match where the other opponent has come out actually injured.
That's true.
Although,
but
that was not necessarily
not
her fault.
She had very little to do with that. She was in position for the catch. It just Tegan Knox's knee was not having any of that.
She did great and did exactly what she needed to do. She didn't run in on the men's Royal Rumble.
No, she didn't.
And try to fucking, I'm gonna be the 20th woman, man. And no one, God, I'm still peeved about that, and I don't know where the fuck she is now. What's Nia Jax doing?
I think she like destroyed both her knees, and maybe we'll see her back before the year's over. Maybe not.
Who knows?
I don't. That sounds cold, but I don't particularly care. I mean, I hope she recovers and leads a happy and productive life, but I don't necessarily need to see her wrestling on my television anytime in the near future.
But Kurt, what will Tamina do?
Retire, hopefully. She's been doing this for 12 years, and she's still worse than girls who have been doing it for like 12 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know why we're talking about this.
Of mediocre talent when we could be talking about the really nice knockdown drag-out match.
Yeah, they were given a solid 8-ish, maybe even 9 minutes to wrestle and do their thing. They had a very back and forth match. To Becky Lynch's credit, she gave Rhea Ripley quite a bit of this match without looking weak. And the predictable outcome here, Shayna Baszler and crew ran down and got the DQ. Neither woman could really make it. Neither woman could really take a loss. Becky's going into her title match. Rhea is going into War Games. It wouldn't make sense for either of them to take a loss on this show. So the DQ was inevitable. But they cleared house together and stared each other down before cutting to commercial. They had a vignette for Kaylee Ray and her recapping her run in the main event of last week.
Here, guys, we need you to remember who she is. So before she gets into War Games, so here's a promo and here's a match.
To be fair, it took me until they said Kaylee Ray. I had no idea who the fuck she was last week.
Yeah, I mean, it was totally needed. It was totally very useful.
I've seen her wrestle the one time. It was not super impressed.
Yeah.
But we come back and Kona Reeves is making his entrance. He's which consisted of him putting his hood on and shaking it off. He did this about twice before Ricochet had enough of this and ran out, wiped him out with a drop kick, and hopped in the ring. Matt Riddle came out and was like, fuck it, and just wrestled Ricochet.
This match now. Okay.
These two had what was shaping up to be a really good match, both of them showcasing why they are among the best in the biz today. Unfortunately, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura made their way through the crowd, and they got involved in the match. Matt Riddle won with a quick roll-up, but then it was time to fight, and fight they did. They beat each other up, and Nakamura hit Riddle, measured him for a Kinshasa. Roderick Strong came out of nowhere to nail Nakamura with a knee, because they are AJ Styles and Nakamura are wrestling on Sunday, which should be a really good match.
That's the entirety of the Undisputed Era is pulling a doubleheader this weekend.
The poor
I'm so proud of
bastards.
them.
I'm worried about. I'm almost kind of worried about Takeover because so many of the people on Takeover are also wrestling on Survivor Series, and there's a
Right.
certain standard to War Games matches that I don't know that they're going to want to uphold if they're going to have to wrestle the next day.
I'm
Although
picturing
Adam Cole
Adam
is a
Cole coming
fucking
out.
crazy man, and he took that
Yes.
bump at Takeover Philly and was right back out in the Royal Rumble for 30 minutes the next night. So
Came out in a fucking cast. I remember that.
yeah, he had his ribs wrapped up and was in that match for a good 30 minutes. So we'll see. But he's apparently going to wrestle a title match on Sunday against the winner of the Pete Dunne, Damian Priest, and Killian Dane triple threat.
Okay. Shit.
So best of luck to that. Finn Balor ran down to attack Riddle, who drove out strong. Balor gave him a double stomp, but Riddle answered with a ripcord final flash, and then Balor got the hell out of Dodge. They had a stare down, and they will meet Saturday. Now the match that made me go, yeah, I'm watching NXT and not Dynamite this week, and that was the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Revival in a non-title match. The matchup between arguably the two greatest tag teams in the history of NXT, and it delivered on that billing. This was not like the other two matches where you got really hyped into the match and then people ran in. This match was clean as a whistle, and they put on one hell of a match. This went every bit. That's how excited I was. It just came up on there. This went every bit of 15 minutes, probably even more. I don't watch with a stopwatch. This is just my estimation. And there were so many great near falls that I bought into, and I was like emotionally distraught watching this match because I didn't know who to root for. Because I love the Revival from the original NXT run, but I've been like a total mark for the Undisputed Era for the better part of 3 years now, and it was like
This is a great match.
every time the Revival would go for a near fall, I'd be like, yes, wait, no, do I want this? I don't know. But yeah, this was a great match. It was kind of weird, the ending, though, because they're like, they have Scott Dawson in the ring, and they're surrounding him. They're setting him up for total elimination. And Dash Wilder's on the outside trying to crawl up into the ring, but he doesn't, and nothing comes of that. Scott Dawson yells, "Kiss my ass," and the Undisputed Era hit him with the total elimination for the pinfall victory in what was a fantastic match, one that we'll definitely be watching again, and probably once more after that, because this is the best. Not the best. It's not the best
distilled
tag team
down to its core.
Yeah,
beauty.
This is the elegance of tag team wrestling right here. It's not the best tag match of in the company's history. I still think that honor belongs to DIY versus the Revival 2 out of 3 falls in Toronto.
Yes.
But that's kind of unfair to compare a television match to that.
It's fair.
This is as good a TV tag match as you will see.
Yes, I agree with that. Yep, this could have been a solid pay-per-view match.
Yeah, this would have not been out of place on a takeover show.
Yeah. Classic NXT move right there.
Yeah. Up next, we had NXT UK Women's Champion Kaylee Ray against Dakota Kai. Ray pinned Kai after a gory bomb. This match was very quick. This was not quite the same level of push for Dakota Kai as her match against Shayna Baszler a couple weeks ago, which was disappointing. I was really hoping that they would kind of like maintain the momentum. She got some big hits in there, but ultimately this was a match that went no more than 5 minutes, in which she took the loss.
Yeah, I feel like Dakota Kai is always caught in like between a rock and a hard place booking wise.
Yeah, they never. It's tough because like this would have been like her comeback story, and like her being the one to dethrone Shayna Baszler is like that was her shot, really. Her
Yep.
coming back from the injury and getting in Shayna's face and building to that big underdog story. But they had other plans. They had other people they wanted in that spot, and unfortunately, she's kind of caught in limbo here. She's upper mid card. I think her best shot is this pairing with Tegan Nox, because it is very apparent that they have big plans for Tegan Nox,
Yes.
and perhaps a stepping stone to those plans would be the Women's Tag Team Championship, which they've wrestled for, and I think there's a shot that they could win coming out of this whole Survivor Series mishmash.
And then Tegan Nox will leave and go on to
Then she'll become a
jump
single
on the main
star
roster
and
and be with Rhea Ripley. I remember, fucking. Why were they on together?
I
Why
don't
did they
know.
come
Well,
on?
they're on a War Games team together. Apparently, it's all in the past between them. Mercilessly mocking her ACL tear for months. But the big story coming out of this segment is the fucking brawl between all these women. They all ran out,
I
and
just saw a
like
horde of blonde hair come right in.
yeah, the SmackDown contingent of Dana Brooke, Carmella, and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, and then the Raw contingent of like Kairi Sane and Nikki Cross was in there. And I was watching this, and I'm like, I associate like all these girls with NXT far more than I do with the main roster. And that was a show. This is one of the weird things about like doing Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT now, is that most of the main roster now was graduated up through NXT. So like I don't think of the War Raiders as a Raw act. I mean, sure, maybe the Viking Raiders are, but they're the War Raiders to me, damn it, and they're an NXT act. Like when they wrestled the Forgotten Sons, I was like, didn't I just see this match a couple months ago? And I did
Hey,
on NXT TV.
turns out. Oh, I don't like when I think of people who've graduated and like gone on to moved over to the big roster. I just keep thinking of Ricochet. I don't know why. Like he had this like he had his own little spark thing, and he's on the main roster. I'm like, oh, it's Ricochet. There he is. I don't know why.
Because they just, I think Drew McIntyre is the biggest example of that for me, because when he was on NXT he was treated like a big deal, and they let all the things that make him such an easy fit as a top guy shine through. And then he gets moved to the main roster. They stick him with Dolph Ziggler of all fucking people, and he gets pigeonholed into a role of fighting other people's battles for them for no real good storyline reason. And when TNA books a talent better than you do, you have fucking issues.
Yeah, it feels like
And
they
when he
just
was like fucking cleaning a house later on in the show, I'm like, man, what the fuck happened to you?
he was there. Yeah, you know what it is? I feel like you take the entire history of their time at NXT. Some of these guys, you put it in the giant fucking pasta grinder, and it comes out into a bowl that is the uh, main roster, and it comes out as like a fucking Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
You're just like here, or no,
it's
it's like a fucking pizza roller where there's like you're flat now.
it's just fucking Triple H will see a square peg and be like, I'm gonna put this in a square hole. Vince McMahon sees a square peg and is like, I'm going to put this in whatever fucking hole I want, and we'll just shove it, and it'll break, and everything that made it, its unique shape will just fall apart. And
Oh, Vince sees a square peg. He's like, I'm gonna throw this on the pile. I've got a mound going of square pegs.
I will find a round peg somewhere.
Yes. He's got two
Froze
round
all
pegs,
these.
and I want these ones. They both fit in the holes, and there are no more holes to fill.
Speaking of the War Raiders and Forgotten Sons, their match was up next. This was a pretty good.
Speaking of pegs,
This was a pretty good Haas tag match. I have to say, Wesley Blake has always been pretty good, but Steve Cutler, in addition to making tremendous improvements into his physical shape, has made great strides in the ring. And while they're not my favorite tag team by any stretch, nor would I consider them an super exciting tag team, the Forgotten Sons are no longer a waste of TV time. They are now having good matches with a variety of teams, and hey, good for them. They're never going to excite me. I'm never going to be watching Dynamite and Peter be like, if the Forgotten Sons are on, and like immediately change the channel. But I'm not going to see, the Forgotten Sons are on and change the channel to Dynamite now.
I feel like that guy in the Impossible Whopper commercial where they bring it to all the cowboys and he eats. He's like, well, golly gee, I'm a damn fool.
Yeah.
It was vegetables the whole time.
Well, I'm a damn fool. Did you hear about the vegan that sued Burger King for grilling the Impossible Whopper on the same flat top they grill the beef ones on?
Oh, lordy. Oh, come on now. What you want? We got the Impossible Grill. We made the whole grill out of soy protein for you. No animals were killed in the making of this steel.
Yeah, this match was actually pretty damn good. It was much better than the last match these teams had, and it really speaks to the improvement of the Forgotten Sons as a unit. But the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe, don't fucking call them Eric and Ivar.
Eric and that I looked at that title screen. I looked at the weird font they used, where everything was in like the Gothic script, not the Gothic, but like you know what I mean, the old like German almost script, except for the V's, which were in like I don't know some variety of impact. Yeah, for Dana. Just like
yeah,
what are you doing, graphics team? It's like you don't see them come out to the Titantron that often.
They're usually already in the ring when they're.
Oh God, that's so true. They're just like, here, play the Challengers music. They're here. Have they come out to like the Viking music or anything, or their special entrance at all on the other two rosters?
I don't think they've had a match on pay-per-view that I can remember since they've come up to the main roster. So, no, they have not.
Damn. It's a damn shame.
Yeah. So that led to a main event segment which featured a ladder match between Dominik Dijakovic and Adam Cole for the man advantage in War Games. The girls did it better last week.
They really fucking went all out.
To be fair, they had a lot more time than Adam and Dominik did here. This was one of the shorter ladder matches I can remember. This is what my fear was for last week. I'm like, this is just going to be like a ladder match for the sake of being a ladder match, and it's not going to live up to the legacy of ladder matches. I was wrong here. That was this week in this match, which is really disappointing given the two involved. I'm sure these two could absolutely tear it up in a proper ladder match. But as it were, they just immediately went into the like big I'm gonna bounce you off the ladder spots, and it capped off where they were both on top of the ladder. Adam Cole whacked him in the head with the briefcase, and he did his big fall onto the gimmick wood ladder. It cracked. Adam Cole pulled down the briefcase. The heels had the man advantage, as it should be. And we moved on to the important part of this segment, which is everyone kills everyone. The Undisputed Era came out to celebrate, and then...
This is more tasteful than when AEW did it. Let me just put that in there right now. More tasteful, more elegant, better carnage.
That's true. But yeah, the representatives from Raw came out, the representatives from SmackDown came out, and then everyone brawled. Drew McIntyre got in the mix. Seth Rollins came out of nowhere, and then Tommaso Ciampa came out, and he stared Rollins down, and then took a shot at Adam Cole, and then he rolled in the rings, and they started beating the shit out of each other, and we went off the air for the go-home show for TakeOver War Games, not knowing who the fourth man on Tommaso Ciampa's War Games team will be.
You'll never know. It'll never happen.
Triple H said on a conference call that there will be members of Team NXT on Survivor Series that will be a surprise, and in his words, will be epic. But unless they're keeping it real quiet that the Velveteen Dream is ready to come back and he's going to be the fourth man at War Games, I don't know who the hell they're going to be able to put in that spot with it making any goddamn sense.
Goddamn. They didn't even allude to like, hey, Tommaso, you haven't picked a fourth man yet. What's going on? He's like, it's a secret.
Yeah, the thing about
Daddy won't tell.
The fucking thing about this show in particular, and it was a very good show. The only knock I have about it is that it was much more focused on the build to Survivor Series than it was to TakeOver, which made
again, double duty
seem second rate. And when you have such a big matzo, like if everything, the card were perfectly 100% set, I'd have less of a problem with it. But the presumptive main event is missing one of the participants. We don't know who it is. And I feel like that's something you should build to.
Yeah. This pay-per-view is gonna be interesting. It's one of those things where there's a lot of weight on the shoulders of this pay-per-view. There's a lot of extraneous context riding on it. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for it, obviously, because takeovers never disappoint. But at the same time, I'm a little.
And this will be the first pay-per-view after they've come on TV.
Yes, that's true. This is the first takeover after they've been on USA. So everyone's gonna want to go out and it's takeover. They always want to go out and impress. And historically, they always, no matter what the situation is, the following day they always go all out on takeover. So I don't worry too much about the quality of the matches. That led to AEW Dynamite.
I was gonna say, that being said, AEW.
Well, funny you should say that, because this show had at least two very, very good matches, and one match that was also pretty good. We had Rey Fenix kicking things off against Nick Jackson in what was a really good match. These two went all out. Like, every time I see Phoenix, I get more and more impressed. This guy can just do things that don't seem to agree with the laws of physics. I've never seen a man have such control over his body.
Yes.
Like the fucking sequence where they were in the corner and he was bouncing all over the ropes and he like launched himself into this twisting like moonsault arm drag
Yes.
thing. I was like, how? What the fuck?
Holy shit. The man was, yeah. The man just like he puts it in on a fucking controller. He's got fucking tool assisted speed run on.
Yeah,
He's got Taskbot doing his moves for him.
yeah. He
Uh,
was all over here, and to Nick Jackson's credit, he also brought the pace, and they traded all sorts of kicks and moves and rolling cutters and all this
mhm.
crazy stuff, and eventually Phoenix hit this crazy springboard roundhouse kick and then hit a muscle buster of all things for the pin.
Yeah.
After the
It's,
match, Nick offered a handshake, but Phoenix only slow clapped and bailed.
as he should. I'm glad they're doing it. Like this is, I just heels. Well, I'm just saying this because we've on the previous shows, they've had problems establishing heels and faces. This is good. I need this. This is reassurance
That they
that
know the
this is
difference.
they know what's going on. Yeah, and this I think it was a perfect sort of match just to put Nick Jackson in. I know we sometimes rag on him for his
uh,
style,
I
but
rag more on Matt than I do Nick. Uh, Nick has a propensity to not sell injuries, but Matt Jackson has his back worked over in every fucking match he does, and then does like 8 fucking Northern Light suplexes with bridges, like they never even touched his back. And Nick's far and away the better athlete. So
mhm.
he's my preferred Buck. I still it's the Young Bucks. They have their style, and it has their fans. I am not one of the fans.
So you're saying one buck you could pass on?
Yes, I will pass the buck to someone else who will appreciate it more than I will. Um, Hikaru Shida defeated Britt Baker in a match that was not as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think it's Britt Baker. I think
Yeah,
it's
and she just had a pretty good match a week or two ago on Dynamite. And I was like, "Oh, maybe she's turning the corner or maybe she just didn't have the right opponent." And Sheeta looked very good against Shanna. So either Shanna's really good and made Sheeta look a lot better than she actually is, or
could entirely be true.
Britt Baker and Sheeta don't have any chemistry, or Britt Baker was carried to a good match by her opponent from the other week. A lot of
I
mystery.
just
We need to sort this
yeah,
out in this women's
I
division.
I'm leaning toward that third option just because we've seen a lot of Britt Baker and we've seen her in a lot of different roles, whether she's cutting promos or doing like assistant uh, announcing or in matches of many different stripes. So I feel like I have got a good read on her.
Yeah, good read.
Uh, so that's why I was sort of like, there's that thing where she's kind of the face of the women's division
Yeah, I mean she's
here,
marketable. She's got a good story to her. She's an attractive young lass.
right?
She's just very marketable to be the face of that division. Uh, but yeah, she has questionable work rate. I think she needs to ask Adam Cole for some private lessons in between the other kind of wrestling they do.
Really, I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah,
Shit,
she's I don't think she's Mrs. Adam Cole, but they've been together for a while.
that's really nifty. I feel like you told me that at some point. I just totally forgot.
Yeah,
Could
I
very well
mentioned it
happen.
when she came out. It was one of their first pay-per-views they did, and she came out to Adam Cole's indie theme music.
Oh yes, I remember that now. Okay, okay, it was there. Just didn't pull it.
Then we had the Diamond Dozen Battle Royal.
Before that, we had the Dark Order,
Oh, right. It's the
sort
hype
of mid
video.
segment.
I'm all for the Dark Order being Scientology. I think
Yes,
that that's a much needed comedic edge to their gimmick because I can't take them seriously. So if I don't have to, thumbs up.
you feeling down? Become something better. Become a creeper. We'll teach you how to Slav squat for entire matches and crawl on your hands
You'll
and things.
have very impressive glutes.
I've heard this floated as an idea among the comments is that they'll go after people who've been on like losing streaks, and in their weakest moments they'll tempt them
Well, they did
with
say uh, they go after people who are on losing streaks on the
oh,
commentary, so I'd say that's a probably pretty good shot of that happening.
I'm clairvoyant.
Oh, I love
I
people
can predict the
on
past.
Reddit. They think they're so clever when the fucking commentators said the exact fucking thing that they predicted.
I like the one. I like the part where they brainstorm. Like, what if they try and recruit Kenny Omega?
Because that
Try and
makes
grab
a
him.
whole lot of storyline sense. I mean, I guess he is on a bit of a losing streak, but he just won. Like, the following week after that match with Mox. I don't know.
Comments.
Yeah.
Battle Royal.
Yeah, Pentagon was eliminated early when Christopher Daniels disguised as Phoenix, which I knew something was up because why would Phoenix change to a blue mask for no fucking reason? They were smarter though. If it weren't for the mask color, they probably would have had me because they actually covered up his arms this time, so you could tell that you couldn't tell that right away based on tattoos or lack thereof that it was Christopher Daniels.
Wait a second. Yeah.
So he pulled him out. Billy Gunn was in this battle royale, and I know Billy Gunn has always been kind of deceptively huge. You go back and watch like Attitude Era matches with him and Kane, and he's like almost as big as Kane. But like in today's world of smaller guys, Billy Gunn looked like the fuck. He might as well have been the fucking Big Show in there.
Yeah. Large man. He just I every whenever I think of him in this match, he was just standing in the center of the ring, just sort of as the obelisk
Yeah,
as everyone was wrestling around him.
throwing people out. He actually looked fairly impressive in this match. He was eliminated when Wardlow got involved, and he was dumped out. So it came down to Hangman Page and Jungle Boy, or so we thought, because MJF had been outside the ring for God knows how long, and
Though I swore he went over the top rope.
I'm pretty sure he did too, and they just pretended like it didn't happen. Uh, he pulled Jungle Boy out, and that set the match next week as Hangman Page versus MJF. They made repeated mention on commentary about how Hangman Page has left the Elite for whatever fucking importance that is.
Sure. That'll tie into the match.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know how.
Page and MJF had a pull apart. It wasn't really Page and MJF. It was Page took a swing at MJF and they separated them, and then Wardlow got in the ring and they went to. We had Jake Hager and Chris Jericho walking down the backstage. They talked to the librarians, and he was talking to Jake Hager all throughout the commercial break, which would have been fine, except for the fact that they can't hear what they're saying.
I would have loved. Yes, I would have. That's a perfect fucking segment. It's a perfect opportunity, and they're like, "Nope. Wish I could have heard that."
He had an announcement. The gist of it was that he was finally going to get his apology. He did classic heel. He said he was sorry. He did the thing he did in WWE during his Uber heel run where he couldn't say he was sorry. And so he had Jake Hager to do it for him. Jake Hager was cracking the entire time.
Yes. Send for the man.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be on. That'll probably be like the fucking edited into that segment on Punch Me.
Christ.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So Jericho did his shtick for a while, then SCU came out, and they Daffy ducked him into giving Scorpio Sky a title match. This was actually a very entertaining segment. The guys in SCU have been around for a long time, and they know how to do it. And Chris Jericho still is one of the best promos in the business. So this segment was worth its weight in gold. Then they started brawling after Scorpio Sky said he would make Le Champion his Le Bitch. And
So
then they
stupid.
started fighting. Proud and Powerful ran out, and then Marco's Stunt ran out to even the odds. It was like a
Marco
fucking
Stunt's he's been in a they've been in weird places this show.
yeah. It was like the nesting doll thing because Marco Stunt ran out. He was quickly dispatched. Jungle Boy ran out, and he did a couple moves, and then he was kicked out. And then Luchasaurus ran out, and everyone turned tail and run. And we had a stare down between Luchasaurus and Jake Hager, which was the most excited I've ever been for anything involving Jake Hager and ever, really.
Thank you, Daddy Luchasaurus.
And then Jake Hager took his watch off, put it back on, and bailed out of the ring. So they're saving that. I'm sure that will come at some point. That was a great segment all around. Luchasaurus squashed Peter Avalon in like 3 seconds after hitting one kick in the extinction.
Yeah, that was a squash of all squashes. My favorite part of that segment was where the rest of Jurassic Express comes out and Jungle Boy tries to get Luchasaurus to read him like a dinosaur bedtime story. He's like, "Not tonight, son. There's vengeance to be had."
Luchasaurus is fucking great. I love like his Twitter, I think, is in character, and he talks about being like millions of years old. He's a legitimately funny guy.
He's fantastic.
He's the best.
We need more of this man.
I'm so happy that
We need more of this lizard man.
Private Party beat Proud and Powerful. This match was notable for two things. One, the sickest gin and juice I've ever seen, in which somehow Isaiah Cassidy rolled and had time to come up perfectly to hit the cutter off the Rana. That was impressive. But more notably before that was the botch of all botches, where there was a clear pin and someone fucked up. I don't know who, but I think Santana was supposed to break up the pin, but he was nowhere to be found, and the ref just stopped counting for no discernible reason.
He's like, "Fuck, we don't know how to do this stuff."
I guess they don't have the same rule they do in WWE, where they're supposed to call it like a shoot, because that was really bad. That's gonna headline Botchamania.
I mean, it was so distracting that I almost thought I just didn't catch something. I'm like, I guess someone must have broken the pin. I mean, he wouldn't just stop on two.
Like Santana wasn't there to distract him.
Like a dumbass.
They tried.
Ref.
They tried to cover for him on commentary, saying that Ortiz wasn't the legal man, even though he most certainly was the legal man.
Absolutely was.
And continued to wrestle as such for the next 5 minutes.
Ooh.
It was pretty fucking bad. But then they hit that really sick gin and juice, and Sammy Guevara ran down to attack Nick Jackson, who had come out to provide an assist to Private Party. He didn't get involved physically, he just served as a distraction. And then Dustin Rhodes made his return to television, and he also towers above the rest of the roster. And
large mans
cleared the ring. Nick Jackson and Dustin Rhodes raised Private Party's hands. Private Party, they clearly see big things for the two of them, which is good because they're very talented. They ran down next week's show. Pac versus Kenny Omega. Cody Rhodes returns. MJF versus Hangman Page, and Chris Jericho versus Scorpio Sky for the AEW title are on tap, so it's looking like it's a pretty good show. Kenny Omega cut a pre-recorded promo from the gym saying he lost his marbles and apparently all his upper body strength because he was benching 65 pounds.
That was hilarious. He's like, no, just put it on one side.
Double it. Yeah, double it. No, just the one side.
And as it goes off the air,
yeah, I was just
losing.
I mean, clearly that was meant to be a comedy bit, but like his promo seemed like he was
very serious.
So they gotta even out the tone.
A little truth in advertising when he said, "I'm not a promo guy," and I'm like, I believe you.
Sure aren't. Sure. Then we had Moxley versus Darby Allin. He had a body bag with him. And they did a video vignette, much like the one they played for him before he wrestled Pentagon at that Northeast Wrestling show, where we were first exposed to the man. He crowd surfed in a body bag, and then some dudes brought him out, and he rolled down on a skateboard. And then Moxley came in for the crowd, and before he could even get into the ring, Darby did a dive onto him. They brawled in the crowd, and then when the match finally got started, they beat the shit out of each other. The story of the match was Darby Allin is a bit of a sick fuck, but Jon Moxley is just as sick, and he is much bigger. So he kind of bullied Darby around for a while, but they traded a lot of very close and very exciting near falls, and this match ended when Moxley absolutely fucking killed Darby with an avalanche paradigm shift. Like, the ref, I have a lot of problems with the refs in AEW. They kind of distract because they do too much business.
Yeah.
And I noticed this. The ref was like, "Ugh." And my favorite visual of it is like Darby like kicking his legs out, trying to wriggle free on the way down, and then just going completely limp as soon as they make contact. Jim Ross sold it like Prime J. Ross. He's like, I broke his damn neck. And Darby Allin did not move for the rest of the night. So
he's like, can I do the... He's like, John Moxley's like, you want to do the thing where you just stay there for the rest of the show? Wait till everyone leaves.
Yeah, remember when fucking... I can't remember what the match was, but when AJ Styles got like hung up on the top rope, he crouched himself on the top rope and he like stayed on the top rope for like the entire match afterwards. And Dean Ambrose comes out and just like pats him on the shoulder and starts shaking the rope up and down.
Oh, god damn it!
Those were the talking smack days.
Such a beautiful man. 8. Oh wait, I got this upside down. 8.
So overall, this was a good show. Excellent matches to open and close, and a very entertaining segment in the middle. Also, Private Party versus Powerful was pretty good if you take out the botch.
But
yeah, I botched that line pretty bad too. So we all do it. No one is safe from botching. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. I'd say clearly NXT was the better show this week, and the ratings reflect that. I think that NXT will once again win the day next week because people will be interested for Survivor Series Fallout. I predict something big is going to happen Survivor Series weekend. Someone's going to turn on a main roster brand and come to NXT, or vice versa, and everyone's going to want to tune in for answers. So I think NXT is going to win again this week, probably by a similar margin. I'll go 900-ish thousand to like 880 for Dynamite.
Isn't it nice when you can have more than 5 pay-per-views a year? That is a lovely advantage that the big bucks will get you.
Yep. All right, so we'll be back next week with coverage of all that stuff. And until then, be well, stay safe, party like it's 1995, and check out saturnstuds.com for all the other media we do if you enjoy us. So take care.
Peace.